little bit different type of video today. This is going to be a technique video. I've not really done any of these, but this is something that I hadn't really thought through until I thought through it and learned some techniques, and I think a lot of people probably have not either. So I wanted to throw the idea out there, help get people thinking about it, get people practicing it, and maybe it will save your life someday if you're lucky. And that being how to draw and fire from concealment. So the idea is that either you have a closed front garment like this, or an open front garment like a jacket or a vest or something like that, and you have your gun concealed. For this situation, it's going to be on your dominant side. Now, until I thought through these things, I always just kind of thought, well, if the situation arises, if I'm ever in a fight, somehow I'll get my stuff up out of the way, I'll get my shirt out of the way, I'll get to the gun, I'll draw it. It's just going to happen. I didn't think through it. I didn't think through it any more than that. Until I learned some techniques, and now I practice them all the time. You know, if you're going to go to classes, you know, I mean just or classes in general, or leagues that you might shoot in, a lot of people will go and they want to tuck their shirt in because they can draw quicker. But really, if you're in shooting to in some form save your life someday, and you generally don't open carry, like most people don't, you want to learn the techniques to be able to get your stuff up out of the way. And so the more you can practice this, when you go to class and things like that, wear a covering garment like this, such that every time you draw in the class, you're getting another repetition, learning that muscle memory. So there's the idea, there's the theory behind this. Let's cover a couple different techniques for how to get things out of the way. So first is going to be a closed front garment. A sweatshirt, a shirt, something like this, where your gun is just kind of on your strong side like this. So two-handed technique and a one-handed technique. First, the two-handed technique. Your right hand, your shooting hand, goes down, grabs the bottom of your shirt, pulls it up to your armpit. While it's up there, you slide down onto the grip of the gun, comes up and forward, and you can fire. Second technique is a two-handed technique. The left hand grabs the front right bottom corner of the shirt, you pull it up to your shoulder, exposes the gun, you grab the gun, come up, hands come together, and you can come out and fire. Now, thoughts on both of these techniques, a couple things to consider. Depending on what kind of belt you're wearing, in this case I've got a Wilderness tactical belt on, sometimes when you're pulling your shirt up, your shirt can get stuck on the lower corner of the belt, kind of like that. So be careful about that. Just think about the belt you're wearing. It may, if you can think about it, you pull up, almost like an arcing motion, pull up and around like that. That's going to get the shirt up out of the way. With this, again, just something to think about. And which one do I prefer? Because everyone's going to have their preference. Some people like one or the other. For me, I do the one-handed technique for several reasons. First, it most mirrors my normal shooting motion. So my normal motion, if I'm sort of open carrying or my shirt's tucked in, my left hand always comes to my chest, my right hand goes to my gun, I lean forward a little bit, comes forward, hands come together, and I fire. So that most marries that. My hand comes to my chest, it comes up, and I fire. It comes close to mirroring my normal shooting motion. The other advantage for me to the one-handed technique is a lot of times if you're involved in some situation where you need to use your gun, you're not going to be able to go to your gun necessarily right away. You're maybe going to be involved in some close-up tussle with the person, and you're going to need to take them and fend them off with your left hand. And at some point there's going to be maybe a little break in the action. Maybe you get their arm pinned or something like that. And then while you're doing that with your left hand, you can then use this one-handed technique to go for your gun, get it, and shoot them if need be. Now, something to consider with this, you see this? You need to be careful not to muzzle and shoot your hand. I've seen it, thankfully not on my hands, but I've seen it at the hospital. It's unpleasant. It's unpleasant for the fingers and, well, really for the rest of the person. So be careful with that. Don't do that. When you draw, if you can come up, and if you're that in close with someone, you're in close, you come up, you can touch them with the gun, pull it back just a little bit, that way you know you're making contact with them, draw it back just a little bit, and then you can fire if need be. Something to think about with that. The open or the two-handed technique, again, some people just prefer it because some people think it is a little bit easier to get your shirt up out of the way. But then if you're involved in a fight, and again, for me, it's all about the muscle memory. If I'm in a fight and the only technique that I know or that I practice is this two-handed technique and my other hand is busy fending you off, I haven't practiced this one-handed thing enough to get it up out of the way. So that's my logic for the one-handed technique. But you know, pick the one that you like, practice it, learn it, use it as much as you can. So there's the two techniques for the closed front garment, just to give you a little bit of an idea of them in real time. one-handed technique. One more time. That's the one-handed. And the two-handed technique. So I can do both of those. I can draw and fire, get my garment out of the way and fire in well under a second and a half. I've timed it, and I can do it pretty consistently. 1.2, 1.3, somewhere in that realm. So they're both pretty quick, and it really adds minimal time. This adds just a fraction of a second from what it would be if you were open carrying. So there's the closed front garment technique. I'll go ahead and throw it on open front, and I'll show you some techniques for that. Alright, so now moving on to an open front garment. So either you have a jacket that's unzipped, you have a shirt that's unbuttoned, or maybe you're wearing a vest, and then underneath it you have the gun that's just kind of out there in the open. So first technique is just like the closed front garment technique. Your right hand grabs the bottom of it, pulls it up towards your armpit, you go down and get the gun. Your left hand in this can also come to your chest. Get the gun, you come out, and you can fire. Second technique, again, your left hand can go to your chest, your right hand bats the jacket or vest or whatever back out of the way, exposes the gun, you come out, and fire. One of the nice things about this technique is that when you bat that back out of the way, it kind of throws you forward a little bit, which is going to be a better shooting position, more stable position. So something to consider there. You don't have to do two motions of coming out and going forward. You're already there from throwing the jacket back. And the third technique, something quite different than the first two. Left hand grabs the bottom corner of your jacket, pulls it up out like this, kind of like a bat. This is the Batman technique. Up out like this, exposed to the gun, you grab it, and you can come forward and fire. The upside of this technique is that when you do this, everyone's looking up there. No one's looking down here, because no one in real life does this. And you're certainly not going to, everyone's going to be looking at your hand, so you can get to it. Is it practical? Probably not. Are you going to use it a lot? Probably not, but just something to know about, something to throw in the bag, impress your friends with. So the three situations kind of in real speed. First one. So they're all pretty quick. Which one do I use? I wanted to keep the same muscle memory between the closed front and the open front of doing this. The problem is that if you have a jacket or a vest or whatever, it's going to be a little bit floppy, and so that when you get it up here, by the time you're getting your hand down to your gun, it's falling a lot quicker, and that can have a tendency to sometimes fumble the draw and get kind of caught up in it. So for me, I do the bat it back out of the way, and I can get the gun that way. That's my choice. So there you have it. 2 techniques for a closed front garment, 3 techniques for an open front garment. Pick the one that you like, learn it, practice it as much as you can, so that if you're ever in a situation where you need to use one, you've got the muscle memory, you don't have to think about it. Hopefully you'll do well and survive the situation. So thanks for watching, learn the techniques, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, thanks again for watching. You know, I went through several techniques here on how to draw from concealment, and if one of those works for you, that's great. If you have another technique that works for you even better, that's also great. And post some comments, or even better yet, a video response, so we can all see and learn from that. The point of the video, though, was more to help you realize that if you carry a gun for protection, you need to come up with a technique for getting your covering garments out of the way, and you need to learn and practice that as much as you can now, because the time to figure that out and how to do that is not in the gunfight. It will not go well for you. So learn that, practice that as much as you can, practice that in all the classes you go to, and stay safe with that. Also throw up some links here because people often want to know different things that are in the video. The gun that I carry every day that's in the video is my pretty modified Bowie Tactical Concepts Smith & Wesson M&P 9C. The jacket I'm wearing is a 511 Tactical Fleece. It's a nice mid-weight jacket. And the belt that I'm wearing in the video is a Wilderness Tactical belt. I don't have a video on that yet, so I'll throw up my 511 belt comparison, because a good belt is quite important if you're going to carry a gun. Keep your holsters steady. So thanks again, subscribe, stay safe, and I will catch you next time.